What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Monday, October 11th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Oh, and good news, guys. Make sure to stay tuned to the very end of this video because we removed the box that was popping up and blocking the lineup. So now you can see a full lineup using these picks that we made in this video if you stay to the very end. Okay, guys, we have a 4-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the pitcher position. So the stud pitcher on the slate, I like Max Scherzer with a 10% pitching advantage over the San Francisco Giants. Max Scherzer is only giving up a .573 OPS versus righties. He's facing 5 righties, and on top of that, the Giants have only hit 17 of his last 101 pitches. That's a 168 batting average and a big sample size. So Max Scherzer is $9,900 FanDuel salary, $300 less on DraftKings, projected at 33.5 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 2.46. His record is 15-4 on the season, pitching an average of 94 pitches per game, averaging 42 fantasy points per game. He scored 22, 13, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So he's due for a big game here. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 7.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Max Scherzer here versus the San Francisco Giants. Now, if you want to save a little bit of salary at the pitcher position, take a look at Carlos Rodon with a 25% pitching advantage over the Houston Astros. Carlos Rodon is only giving up a .478 OPS versus righties. He's facing 6 righties, and on top of that, the Astros have only hit 17 of his last 94 pitches. That's a 181 batting average. He's $8,600 FanDuel salary, $200 more on DraftKings. He has an ERA of 2.37. His record is 13-5 on the season, pitching an average of 92 pitches per game, averaging 40 fantasy points per game. He scored 33, 21, and 39 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Carlos Rodon here versus the Houston Astros. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Yandy Diaz with a small batting advantage over Eduardo Rodriguez. Yandy Diaz is batting 6% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .800 OPS versus lefties, and Eduardo Rodriguez is giving up a .761 OPS versus righties. Now, I like this pick because Yandy Diaz is 10 for 20, batting .500 with a 1.095 OPS versus Rodriguez. That's a pretty big sample size. He's $2,900 FanDuel salary, $700 more on DraftKings, projected at 12.2 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 10, and 10 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Yandy Diaz here versus Eduardo Rodriguez.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Chris Taylor with a 13% batting advantage over Alex Wood. Chris Taylor is batting a .786 OPS versus lefties, and Alex Wood, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .874 OPS versus righties. Now, Chris Taylor is 4 for 12, batting a .333 batting average and a 1.333 OPS versus Wood. 2 of those 4 hits are home runs, and 2 of them are doubles. He's $3,300 FanDuel salary, $800 more on DraftKings, projected at 9.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 22, 22, and 15 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Chris Taylor here versus Alex Wood. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. So this guy is 0 for 2 in his past 2 games. We've been picking him the past couple of games because he's been in great matchups, but he just has yet to deliver. But I think that delivery is going to come tonight. So I like Justin Turner with a 9% batting advantage over Alex Wood. Justin Turner is batting a .787 OPS versus lefties, and we know Alex Wood throws his worst ball versus righty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .874 OPS versus righties. Now, Justin Turner is 5 for 19, batting a .263 batting average, but he's got a .912 OPS versus Wood. 2 of those 5 hits are for home runs. He's $3,200 FanDuel salary, $1,600 more on DraftKings, projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 0, 0, and 19 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I think he breaks his slump here. So I like Justin Turner here versus Alex Wood. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Trea Turner with a 41% batting advantage over Alex Wood. So I like this righty stack versus Alex Wood. And Trea Turner bats 24% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.130 OPS versus lefties. And Alex Wood, we know, gives up a .874 OPS versus righties. Trea Turner is 3 for 11, batting a .273 batting average and a .969 OPS versus Wood. He's $4,000 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, projected at 11 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 9, 0, and 6 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Trea Turner here versus Alex Wood. Now I also like Wander Franco with a 44% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez. Wander Franco is batting 34% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.039 OPS versus lefties, and Eduardo Rodriguez, he pitches his worst ball versus switch hitters, 10% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .855 OPS versus switch hitters. Wander Franco is 3 for 10, batting 300 with a 1.117 OPS versus Rodriguez. He's $3,700 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings, projected at 13.8 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 25, 9, and 19 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Wander Franco here versus Eduardo Rodriguez.
Real quick guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Now I also like Brandon Crawford with a 40% batting advantage over Max Scherzer. Brandon Crawford is batting 24% better versus righty pitchers, and Max Scherzer, he pitches 16% worse to lefties as he does his other pitches, and he's giving up a .684 OPS versus lefties. So I like this pick because Brandon Crawford is 7 for 17, batting a .412 batting average and a 1.353 OPS versus Scherzer. He's 3,100 FanDuel salary, 1,200 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.2 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 10, 19, and 6 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Brandon Crawford here versus Max Scherzer. Okay, let's take a look at the outfield position. I like Randy Arozarena with a 32% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Eduardo Rodriguez. Randy Arozarena is batting 35% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.195 OPS versus lefties. Eduardo Rodriguez is giving up a .761 OPS versus righties, and Randy Arozarena is 4 for 11, batting a .364 batting average and a .872 OPS versus Rodriguez. He's 3,900 FanDuel salary, 800 more on DraftKings, projected at 18.2 fantasy points here tonight. That projection's a little bit high, but he can get there. And he's averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 19, 9, and 37 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Randy Arozarena here versus Eduardo Rodriguez. Okay, now my favorite value play on the slate, take a look at AJ Pollock with a 39% batting advantage over Alex Wood. AJ Pollock is batting 22% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.024 OPS versus lefties, and Alex Wood pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, 17% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .874 OPS versus righties. Now I like this pick because AJ Pollock is 10 for 25, batting 400 with a 1.204 OPS versus Wood. He has 2 home runs in there, 3 doubles, and he's only 2,800 FanDuel salary. He's 1,500 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. Projected at 9.1 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 25, 0, and 0 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like AJ Pollock here versus Alex Wood.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.